So, welcome to the session. We are now on session 11 of the book Beyond the Mind. We've gone up to the middle of page 22 the last time. We will now continue forward. So, we had gone up to Sutra 3. Now we will come to Sutra number 4. It's a very interesting sutra and, I would say somewhat unique. Fasting develops your willpower. The purpose of fasting is to cleanse the body and transform the solar plexus chakra. The objective is to become more refined and to have more control over the emotions so that the lower chakras will be regulated by the higher chakras. So, this is a rare technique to develop the will aspect. You see, love aspect, we have so many techniques and so on. For study the light aspect, again, we are doing the book study, and Master has given us so many practices. What about developing the will aspect? Now, this is one of the really powerful methods where Master says you have to do fasting. You see, the other aspects can be easier. This is not so easy. But the good thing about this is that when you do fasting, you do not bother anybody, you do not interact with anybody. There is no one else is involved. It's just you and your food. So there are, Master here has talked about body cleansing. So purification of the body, that is one of the benefits. Second is, he says, transform the solar plexus. So you are purifying even your emotions. And third aspect I would suggest to you is you are gaining more control of your bodies, not only the physical body. You see, what will happen is you're not used to fasting. Now, the first day you fast, your body will start complaining. It will send messages to you like, hey, why are you not feeding me? Arey, bhai, khane ka time ho gaya, bhul gaye kya? Things like that. Now, that is where you have to exercise control. You have to say, no, I am the master. You tell the body, I will feed you when I want to. I will not feed you because you want to be fed. I will decide when to feed you. And the other thing that Master mentions here is lower chakras being regulated. The lower chakras, so solar and below, are now then start getting regulated by the higher chakras. Now, if you have done the psychotherapy class, then you are aware of the psychological functions of the chakras. So you know upper chakras, what are their functions, lower chakras, what are their functions. But this control of the lower chakras by the upper chakras, this is an important aspect of Master Choa's school. Formally, it is implemented in the Arhatic yoga practices, especially in the Arhatic yoga levels. When you come to level 1, level 2, there the practices that are taught are specifically oriented towards this. And if you read the Master's autobiography, he has explained this. He's talked about that in the Indian system. There he explains why higher chakras should have control over lower chakras. And he also explains that in some of the Indian schools, Indian spiritual schools, the opposite practice is used. Opposite practice means they first learn to control the lower chakras, then they come to the upper chakras. Now, that is possibly a reason why, in the Indian tradition, if you are aware, there used to be these gurukuls. Gurukuls matlab these ashrams away from home, where the students would be sent and they would live with the guru for years. So the years were spent in preparation because the lower chakras needed to purify before the meditations could be taught, before the higher practices could be taught. Now, what Master does is he first helps us gain control, purify the upper chakras and control the lower chakras. So we are able to progress much faster. All right. So, again, reminding you of the uniqueness of this teaching. And also it works to accelerate. So the thing to do is at least once a week, it is good to fast. I'm saying this, but I myself am not practicing this. But I think now I'm making a firm resolution. I will also start doing this at least once a week. I will fast. And I have also planned that another day in the week I will just have fruit diet, nothing, no grains, no nothing else. So one has to commit to it, and that I hope will also increase my willpower, which is probably not so strong as it should be. All right, let's move on. We are on page 23 on the first sutra. For the blessings to flow through you, you have to be physically and energetically clean. Otherwise, there will be resistance. Once the body is clean, the body can easily absorb the fresh energy generated through meditation. So I think this the meaning I hope is obvious or quite clear कि जब meditation करते हैं तो the what master is saying blessings, we are invoking for blessings, and also when we do meditation the divine energy flows through us. So blessings here can mean a lot of things, but basically divine energy will flow through us. अगर हमारे शरीर में जितनी हमारे कोश हैं उनमें स्वच्छता नहीं होगी, और तो फिर वो जो 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 कमजोरियां हैं, जो हमारे जो क्लेश हैं, वो उसको ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट करेंगे. द वीकनेसेस विद इन अस, दे विल ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट दैट फ्लो, एंड दैट विल कॉज प्रॉब्लम्स. Yeah, have you come across people who they do meditation and maybe they have pain in the head or in the neck or in the chest and so on. So that is where purification really helps. You know, so that is why it is very important to do exercises. Very important also to do some breathing exercise that master has taught. They also help with purification. And in Arhatic Yoga, of course, there is a whole lot of things, including the blue triangle practice, which will really accelerate this process of purification, cleansing the inner self. So those are very, very important, highly recommended, must be done. I hope all of us in this group are already on the Arhatic path. If not, may I request and suggest, please get on the path. Very important and very helpful. Okay, meditators should be predominantly vegetarian. Ordinary people can eat pork because their Kundalini energy is not awakened. Not awakened means minimally awakened. Now, Master is talking about vegetarian, then he's talking about pork, but there's, the non-vegetarian diet or foods can be many. There can be, many animals can be eaten. But here specifically he's talking about pork because somewhere he has explained, he meaning Master Choa has explained that pork is the worst, and ethically, it is the worst kind of animal food. So he's saying that if people who are on the spiritual path, as we go on the spiritual path, our Kundalini energy rises. Okay, what is Kundalini energy? Kundalini energy is the energy of evolution. Kundalini energy is what causes growth. Growth of what? Growth of the chakras, growth of the, for example, the brain cells, growth of the particles of the body. Growth meaning development, evolution, becoming more refined. The problem with Kundalini energy is that, you may be aware it is located at the base of the spine. Now it rises through the central channels. It rises and it tries to energize or vivify or upgrade the particles of the chakras, particles of the physical body. Now the problem with this Kundalini energy is it is very strong and it doesn't care if what it is energizing or vivifying is a positive element or a negative element. So master, I think, gives the example that you have a patch of grass, like your lawn is there, and in that there are some weeds. Now if you put fertilizer, what will happen? The grass will grow faster, but even the weeds will grow faster. So same thing with Kundalini. As you do spiritual practices, your Kundalini rises. Now if you are eating gross foods, gross and very dirty foods like pork, you will have problems. Yeah, because your Kundalini is becoming more and more awakened as you are practicing. right? And here Master clarifies that it is not this rise of the Kundalini energy, it is not like a switch, it is not like it is off or on. There is a question of degree. Every living person has a certain amount of Kundalini energy awakened, but it's very small. And as we progress, it becomes the awakening increases, more and more awaken. If you have read about the Kundalini, it has 7 layers, and each layer has 7 sublayers. So total of 49, layers and sublayers. Now, each will open to some degree, and a really highly advanced soul, all 49 layers are fully awakened. It's like a think of a flower which is at which is sleeping, and then it opens. So something like that. So imagine 49 such petals, and then they open one by one. Something like that. Actually, Master Choa is one of the rare gurus who has talked about or explained and incorporated Kundalini energy into the practices and into the teachings. Also, he is one of the gurus who has really explained the concept of quantification, quantity, matra, कि ये ऐसा नहीं कि on है off है, not like that. There is a question of degree. It is like a sliding scale. Have you seen dimmers? Like you have a light switch, it can be on off. There are also dimmers. So they increase the light more or can reduce it, by degree. So that is what, this is a concept that Master has made very clear and he has incorporated into his teachings and practices. Yeah? Okay. So anyway, summary. Summary, don't eat pork. All of us are on the spiritual path. Better become vegetarian completely. Just stay away from non-vegetarian or animal foods. Too much energy and no exercise will result in energy congestion. Anything that does not flow properly or is blocked leads to congestion. You must release excess energy. Do physical exercise to avoid congestion and to increase your physical and to increase your energy level. So again, a very, very important sutra. I hope the meaning is very, very clear because it's very simple. What causes congestion? Energy comes in, it doesn't flow out. You see, the thing with energy is it has to flow. It comes in and it has to flow out. There has to be like a flow. Now, if there is too much energy coming in and not enough flowing out, then you have a problem, what we call congestion. So this is basically, you know, it's very important to especially after meditations, to release excess energy because that is what will prevent the congestion. Also, when you do the physical exercises, you absorb the energy. Otherwise, what will happen is it will come in and it will flow out. But when you do it, then the cells of the body, the cells of the organs, the cells of the muscles, they will absorb the energy. So, three benefits: release excess energy. Three benefits of doing physical exercises after meditation. Number one, it releases excess energy. Second, it prevents congestion, it removes congestion. If congestion has built up, it will remove it. Third, the more of the divine energy will get absorbed by your body. So it is good. We must do it. It should not be avoided. All right. We come to the next section now, which is the last sutra, starting with the last sutra on page 23. Let's read the next three sutras together. They are sort of very closely interconnected. Purification of the body and that of the incarnated soul is necessary for spiritual development. All right? Note the words necessary. With thorough purification, it is easier to achieve oneness with the higher soul. Self purification means that the body is made strong enough to withstand higher energy. Internally, you have to be wholesome. So, wholesome, comes from the word whole. The meaning here is more about, things that are positive, that are good, that are, sort of aligned with the divine principles and so on. Internal purification is an absolute necessity. You must purify the incarnated soul of all unwholesome qualities. Now, this is more or less a repeat of what we have discussed in the previous sutras. Again, we are being reminded of the importance, the necessity of purification. Yeah. Actually, Master is, he is really, really emphasizes this. The first time he talks about meditation is in the basic pranic healing book. The book we know as the Ancient Science and Art of Pranic Healing. There, if you read where he's talking about twin heart meditation, he says there itself, necessity of purification. Then, if you read The Existence of God is Self-Evident, there he has explained. Every book he has explained the importance of purification. If you look at the process of pranic healing, we first do cleansing and then we energize. Yes. So, in this school, one of the great things is the importance given to purification. And purification also Master has explained in detail. Physical purification. Then inner purification. Inner purification meaning the other subtle bodies. And here, of course, he says the incarnated soul. But when he says incarnated soul here, it means the incarnated soul and the bodies, the physical body and the subtle bodies. They are all, when he's saying incarnated soul here, it means all of them. So, inner purification. Now, great emphasis on character development. Right in the first book, Master talks about inner reflection, firm resolution. He talks about the virtues. Then, in the Arhatic system, we learned the powerful blue triangle practice. Other things, like study also helps us with character development, because it starts refining when we study the right kind of books, like, for example, this book. It starts refining our thoughts. We start Our mind starts going to the better things. It's a principle of spirituality that the only way to get rid of a negative thought is by replacing it with positive thoughts. So the more we study, or wholesome things, the spiritual things, the good literature, the more our mind dwells on them. Also, good company will help. We have to be little, if we are serious about our spiritual progress, we have to be selective about company. It is not to say that we should shun people or stay away from them, but we have to be careful not to let them influence us if the people are having unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome habits and practices. Yeah, because we know, as people of pranic healing, we know that the aura affects each other when you are in physical proximity. And if you look at the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, even in that, the first four, if you are aware, this is a system of yoga. Yoga meaning union with the higher soul, union with God. But it gives a method which is based on 8 limbs. He calls it Ashtang, Art Ang, 8 limbs. Now, the first 4 limbs, Yam, Niyam, Asan, and Pranayam, they are all related to this purification. Asana and Pranayam, you can say, somewhat more related to physical purification, but Yama, Niyama, and Pranayam all are related with the emotional and mental bodies also. So my point is, or what Master is trying to tell us here is that this is a very, very important aspect. And his Master is really driving it home by telling us again and again and again. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Dirty food dirties only your body, but dirty words dirty your soul. Again, this is a very, very important teaching that Master is giving us. You see, because some cultures, some religions, some spiritual schools, they give too much emphasis on food. So they quote this principle which says ki jaisa anna vaisa man. Yeah, that's true. But you see, you have you have your will, you have free will. So, how much you allow the food to affect your thoughts and so on is up to you. So, what Master is telling us here is, excuse me, yes, be careful about the food, be selective. But more important is to be careful about your thoughts and your emotions. I'm sorry. So, the reminder we are being given is that yes, be careful about food, be selective. But becoming an extremist or becoming fanatical about food is not as important as being very careful about our words, what we speak, and our thoughts. You see, here Master is saying words, but where do words originate from? They originate from our thoughts. It's our thoughts that become words. So that is something we should be more careful about. And it is also a reminder that we have free will. Just because we are eating contaminated food doesn't mean that our thoughts and emotions must get contaminated. No, if we are careful, they will not. If we are not careful, then they might. Okay, let's go on. Spiritual development is dependent upon inner purification or character building. So this is again a repetition of what we have been talking about again and again and again. Master is telling us inner purification or character building is very, very, very important. And you know, like I reminded you, even in the basic pranic healing book, first time he talks about meditation, he reminds us of this. And in the entire Arhatic yoga practice, this is the early Arhatic yoga practice that is the focus, that is the emphasis. And the first part of that is the Arhatic yoga preparatory workshop that you do, and then you spend at least 2 years practicing that before you can apply for the real Arhatic yoga levels. Now, this is again the focus of the Arhatic yoga preparatory levels also. Yeah. If a spiritual practitioner does not do inner purification thoroughly, the negative qualities and weaknesses will come back to haunt the chela. Chela means, I think, spiritual student. This will manifest as a spiritual fall. So now, Master is telling us, look, I am telling you again and again that you need to do purification, inner purification, especially very, very thoroughly. If you don't do that, what is going to happen? So, what Master is saying is spiritual fall. Spiritual fall meaning, you see, think of the spiritual path as a ladder with, many, many, many steps. Let me not say even thousands or millions, maybe more steps. They are going up and up and up. Now, what does a fall mean? You are on step number 5,000 and you may drop back. God knows how much. In terms of time, one can say you can go back one incarnation. You may even go back, or the person who succumbs to his inner weaknesses may fall by one incarnation even more. The karmic repercussions can be severe, especially if the weakness has led that person into some act of violence or cruelty. So that is why, or even dishonesty, even so one has to be very careful. And that is why actually Master has given the first virtue as loving kindness and non-injuriousness. So that that is the first thing to be purified. Because the worst thing we can do on the spiritual path is to become injurious, is to become harmful to anyone. Yeah.